Now being 3-1 in the conference, having just come off 3 road games, you were hoping to kind of turn this thing around and win a home game against a good Denver team. I mean, the game that they won in conference was on the road, and so disappointed that we weren't able to take care of home tonight against a decent Denver team. And I think that's what happens. I think that they're used to. I just haven't watched some of last year's games, and Denver. I think that they're used to. They have a lot of confidence because they beat ORU pretty handily a year ago, and so you walk into this thing, you're really upset that you lost a game. You knew it was close, you knew it was right there, and if you correct these 2, 3, 4 areas, then it could go your way. I think sometimes when you start a freshman and 4 sophomores, that they don't understand the urgency that comes with being prepared for every game, and they just think in their minds, oh, we're playing the last place team. We saw this against Southern Nazarene University, and you don't come out, you get punched in the mouth, and before you know it, it's 11-0, and then you say, oh, you know what, we need to come out here and give a little bit better effort, and by that time, it's too late. Yeah, and you know what, Daniel Amigo was great tonight. He had 20 points in 25 minutes, was 9 for 12 from the field. When he was doing a good job down there one-on-one, we thought maybe Albert would be able to guard him. And then, obviously, began to send a double team, and he went out and he started making perimeter shots. And so he was a really tough matchup for us. They're specialists. They have 3 3-point specialists, 5, 12, and 15. Those guys finished 4 for 7 behind the arc. And, you knew that going into the game that this is what these guys are relegated to doing. These guys can shoot threes. It's kind of like Austin. Austin shoots threes, so you can't give that guy looks. And what's unfortunate about that is 5 didn't play with 12 and 15. 5 was out there by himself. So you just had to identify one guy. And it was disappointing. I thought that they picked on a certain side of our zone and obviously had to get out of that, had to make some substitutions. But it's extremely disappointing. Yeah, and you also have to realize how are they getting some of their looks, Out of 351 schools, they're 332 at causing turnovers. So in essence, they don't cause them. So for us to have 14 turnovers for a team that doesn't even cause them just results in a lot of unforced errors. Chris Miller, unfortunately, had 5. And there's just, we try to remind our guys, and you do this a lot with a young team, is just hit singles. We don't need to be up there trying to hit home runs. We don't need to be swinging for the fences. There's easier plays to make. And I felt that we were trying to hit homers instead of just going up to the plate and hitting singles. And, again, it's disappointing. Great question. I don't know. You know what? They called Javen for a flagrant 1. And so that was how that resulted. And to 32's credit, he was a 20% free throw shooter coming into the game. He was 3 for 15. And, what did he finish? He finished 2 for 4. And so he made them. And you're just hoping to foul a 20% free throw shooter down the stretch. And he can miss them and kind of give you an opportunity. But Javen knows better than to do that. And that's where we have to be tougher. I just thought, there were plays that Chris made where he was, in my opinion, fragile mentally. I thought Javen was fragile mentally. And I think sometimes that happens when you have younger guys just because they haven't been through the gauntlet and they don't really understand what it takes. But was really disappointed in how they handled that there at the end. And 0 offense. He's a top 50 offensive rebounder in the country. He plays 17 minutes, and you don't get 1. And, and at the half, A.J. had played 11 minutes, and he didn't have any. And so, all of those things, guys not doing what they normally do for whatever reason. I thought shoot-around today was great. I'm really not sure. I don't know why you come out, you begin 11 to 0 hole to open the game, and I'm anxious to look at the film, and I'm anxious to get to practice tomorrow. Yeah, defensively, he did some things there at the end of the first half. They were picking on his side of the zone, and so whichever side he moved to, they were setting these flare screens, and and he was getting exposed on his inability to get around. Then he tried to gamble with number 11 and shoot a passing lane, and 11 dribbles right in and shoots a layup late. He goes under off a ball screen off of number 2, who we know can shoot the basketball. He's at 42%. And so his defensive errors, and then obviously Austin playing well, we were trying to find a way to get Austin into the lineup, and we were going to play man. Can't play Austin at the 3 when we play zone. And so, and it brought us back. You get in, you're tied at 50, and I'm anxious to see the plus minus at the end of this game, because I'm sure they're pretty glaring about if you're in the game, we were a negative something, versus if this person was in the game, we were a positive something. So I'm sure Austin was positive. I'm quite certain E-Man is negative. It's just I don't know how much of a variance there actually is going to be. But defensively, E-Man isn't what he should have been tonight in order for us to win. Well, you try not to let this one taint your thought process throughout the rest. You have 4 games on the road, what are in essence the bottom half, and then you have the other games at home. That you feel good about now that you've got the Dakota's trips out of the way. But you were hoping to be all alone in 3rd place tonight, and now you find yourself somewhere in 5th or 6th. And that quickly, you were in 1st, then we were playing Wednesday night to see who was going to be in 2nd. They won, so that moved us to 3rd. We need to win tonight in order to stay in the top 3. You're in the top 4. You'll sit back and see how the week goes for everybody else to play out. But, you're definitely disappointed that through the first half you're not in the top 3, because, to be honest, that was not only was it the expectation, but really felt that having gone through the league that our guys are good enough. We don't get to the free throw line very much. We just don't have a guard who can draw fouls. Sam shoots the ball. He didn't shoot it well tonight, 2 for 10. Austin shoots the ball. He was okay tonight. RJ is good, but we just don't have anybody right now at the guard spot who can get to the free throw line. And so you were hoping you could just beat people up offensive rebounding. And we have. We're 18th in the country in offensive rebounding. But it's just disappointing that we can't translate some of those conversions to the free throw line and more points.